Hi friends, good morning. Welcome to Annamaya IAS Academy. This is Dr. Harinath Reddy, Director of the Institute. You all know that Election Commission of India is in the news. Rahul Gandhi, the leader of opposition, is finding fault with the working of the Election Commission of India. So in the context of this, Election Commission of India becomes important for your UPSC mains exam, which is to be held within 2 weeks. So in this context, let us see something about Election Commission of India. You all know that earlier the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners are appointed by the Government of India. But later on, a public interest litigation was filed before the Supreme Court. There it was argued that if there is a broad-based selection committee for appointing the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners, it will play a very important role in promoting and protecting the Indian democracy by conducting free and fair elections. And finally, the Supreme Court has given a judgment in 2023, Anup Baranwal versus Union of India. In Anup Baranwal versus Union of India, a constitution bench of the Indian Supreme Court said there shall be a broad-based selection committee consisting of the Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition in the Lok Sabha, and the Chief Justice of India for appointing the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners. So subsequent to the judgment, Indian Parliament has made a law with respect to the appointment, removal, tenure of the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners. So there was one legislation made by the Indian Parliament after the judgment of the Supreme Court. The legislation is called Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners appointment, conditions of service and the terms of Office Act 2023. So in this video, let us see the provisions of this important legislation. So it can appear in the prelims exam in 2026 or even in the mains exam. If you take the qualifications to become the Chief Election Commissioner or other election commissioners is laid down in the law. You all know that in the very beginning, Election Commission of India is a single member body, but later on it was made a 3-member body. So it contains the Chief Election Commissioner and the other 2 election commissioners. And who is eligible to become the Chief Election Commissioner or Election Commissioner is laid down in the law. It says a person of the rank of Secretary to Government of India. If you want to become the Chief Election Commissioner or other election commissioner, it is from amongst the persons who are holding or have held a post equivalent to the Secretary, the rank of Secretary to Government of India. That is one requirement. Your rank should be of the rank of Secretary to Government of India. The second requirement, you must be a person of integrity. The third requirement, you must have the knowledge and experience in management and the conduct of elections. So these are the qualifications. Then, though the Supreme Court said that in the 3-member selection committee there should be Chief Justice of India along with the Leader of Opposition in the Lok Sabha and Prime Minister, in the 2023 law this composition was changed. So that the selection committee for appointing the Chief Election Commissioner and the other election commissioners will consist of the Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition in the Lok Sabha and a Union Cabinet Minister nominated by the Prime Minister. Which means in the Supreme Court judgment, in the 3-member selection committee, Chief Justice of India was asked to be included. But the legislation made by the Indian Parliament replaced the Chief Justice of India with a Union Cabinet Minister to be nominated by the Prime Minister. Then there will be a search committee. So the selection committee will depend on the names recommended by search committee. The selection committee can also appoint a person who is not recommended by search committee. Even from outside the recommendations of search committee, the selection committee can make appointment. But the legislation of 2023 provides for a search committee headed by the Minister of Law and Justice and containing 2 members of the rank of Secretary to Government of India. And they will prepare a list of 5 persons for consideration of the selection committee. So here the search committee will be headed by the Union Minister of Law and Justice, and it will have another 2 members of the rank of Secretary to Government of India. So the search committee will come up with 5 names for the consideration of the selection committee for appointing the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners. Remember, the selection committee is not bound by the names recommended by search committee. It can pick a name even from outside the list of names suggested by the search committee. Then, term of office. If you take Lokpal, the chairperson and members of Lokpal will have a tenure of 5 years or 70 years, whichever is earlier. But here, the tenure of the chief election commissioner and other election commissioners is 6 years or 65 years, whichever is earlier. The chief election commissioner and other election commissioners shall hold office for a term of 6 years from the date on which he assumes his office or till he attains the age of 65 years. In addition to this, once your term is over, you are not eligible for reappointment. So this provision is made to ensure that when you are in office, for getting re-elected or reappointed to the commission, you don't do favors to the party which is in power. So the chief election commissioner and other election commissioners have only one term. They are not eligible for reappointment. This is to ensure the independence in the working of the Election Commission of India. Then, when it comes to salary, the chief election commissioner and other election commissioners shall be paid a salary which is equal to the salary of a judge of the Supreme Court. So the chief election commissioner and other election commissioner, they get the salary equivalent to judge of the Supreme Court. That's an important provision. In addition to this, removal. The chief election commissioner is removed like the judge of the Supreme Court. You all know that the chief election commissioner is removed like the judge of the Supreme Court. You know how the judge of the Supreme Court is removed. The Supreme Court judge is removed through a special majority by the parliament both in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. A majority of the total membership and 2/3 of the members present and voting. If they pass a removal motion in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha separately, then the chief election commissioner can be removed. In other words, the chief election commissioner had a security of tenure. He cannot be removed by the government straight away. He can be removed only by the parliament by special majority. The same security of tenure was not given to the remaining 2 other election commissioners. The remaining 2 other central election commissioners, they can be removed not by the parliament, by the president on the advice of the chief election commissioner. But remember, in the earlier instance, Law Commission of India has recommended that the other 2 election commissioners must have the same security of tenure like the chief election commissioner. So that's it about Chief Election Commissioner and Other Election Commissioners Act 2023. Thank you and all the best.